Welcome back to our channel, where we share the majestic fishing journeys. The harsh but hopeful life of brave fishermen in the vast ocean. Today, we invite you to join us on modern ships, heading straight to the cold and stormy seas of Alaska, where giant cage traps are silently carrying out the task of catching hundreds of tons of crabs every day. Amidst the white waves and the howling wind in our ears, each crab fishing boat breaks the waves and sets sail from the early morning. It is not a normal job, but a battle for survival. A dangerous and arduous journey that only the bravest people can embark on. Strong men with calloused hands, faces tanned by the sea wind. They are not afraid of the cold, not afraid of pain, only afraid of missing the precious crab season waiting far out at sea. The iron traps, weighing hundreds of kilograms, are prepared when it is still pitch black. Each one is filled with bait, fish scraps, salmon heads, even squid, to lure the crabs in. The sailors quickly lower hundreds of cages to the bottom of the deep sea. Marking them with brightly painted buoys for easy identification in the dense fog. They work in silence and with great concentration, because even the slightest mistake can lead to serious consequences hundreds of nautical miles from land. The waiting time usually lasts 12 to 24 hours, enough time for the giant crabs to crawl into the cylindrical traps. Where there is no escape. But while waiting, no one rests. They check the machinery, prepare the equipment to process the crabs after they are caught, clean the deck and make sure everything is in good condition. Life at sea does not allow him to be distracted for even a moment. Then the long-awaited moment arrived. The hydraulic crane began to pull the traps up from the cold ocean floor one by one. The sound of metal rubbing against each other echoed amidst the sound of the waves. And as soon as the cages rose to the surface, a spectacular sight appeared before their eyes: dozens, even hundreds of giant crabs wriggling inside, their sharp claws and black eyes flickering as if they had just woken up from a deep ocean dream. The fishermen quickly opened the traps, pouring the crabs onto the deck amid excited cheers. But the joy did not last long. They had to immediately sort the crabs, separating those that met the standards in size and freshness. Then transferring them to deep freeze tanks to preserve their quality. Those that did not meet the standards would be released back into the sea to protect the long-term resource. All operations had to be done extremely quickly, because with hundreds of traps, dozens of tons of crabs, time waits for no one. The next round of pulling the cages continued without stopping, like a repeating cycle between nature and man. The ship rocked with each strong wave, but no one stopped. The sailors, from the experienced to the young, worked tirelessly. Their hands were as hard as iron. Their eyes always turned towards the signal buoys, where each buoy was a hope containing dozens of kilograms of crabs deep under the seabed. Each time the cages were pulled up, there was a surprise. Some cages were full of crabs. Some were empty. Some were swept into the reefs under the seabed and deformed. But no one complained. That was part of the job. They were used to the fickleness of the ocean, used to the unexpected shocks that the sea brought. Some days they caught a full boat in just a few hours. Some days they were empty-handed despite having dropped hundreds of traps into the water. But their spirit never diminished, because they believed that the sea would give them back what they deserved. The air on board is a mixture of the smell of sea salt, the smell of iron from the traps, the strong but distinctive smell of seafood, a scent that only those who have drifted at sea can understand, the hum of machinery, the creaking of the crane pulling the cages. The sound of crabs hitting their claws on the wooden floor, the sound of people calling each other, all create a special symphony of a fisherman's life. When the number of crabs on board has reached dozens of tons, the atmosphere becomes more urgent than ever. Each person is in charge of a separate stage. Some classify. Some load crabs into cold boxes. Some record the quantity and weight. There are people who specialize in checking the health of the crabs. Because a high-quality shipment of crabs depends not only on quantity but also on the vitality, uniformity and color of the shell. The strong crabs will be transferred directly to the cold box, while the weak or injured ones during the pulling process will be removed to avoid affecting the whole shipment. Have to fend for themselves in the vast ocean. Fishermen are not just fishermen, they are also mechanics, chefs, nurses, friends, brothers who share the hardships of the sea. When the sun rises high at noon, the light reflects on the water, sparkling like diamonds. The cages continue to be lowered, continue to be pulled up. New crabs crawl out of the deep sea, sometimes pure white snow crabs, sometimes bright red king crabs. Each type of crab has its own value, its own consumer market. There are particularly valuable catches. Each king crab weighs more than 6 kilograms. Purchased at sky-high prices to serve high-end restaurants in the US, Japan or China. Sometimes each batch of crabs brought up is worth hundreds of millions of dong. Lying on the swaying deck. Each crate of crab is packed right on the deck. Workers wear thick gloves and place each crab in styrofoam boxes filled with ice flakes, which keeps the crabs fresh for many days. Some ships are even equipped with industrial freezers, keeping the temperature stable at -18 degrees Celsius so that the crabs can be preserved for the longest time while still maintaining their quality. From the time they leave the trap cage until they are put into the packaging box, each crab is processed in less than 15 minutes, fast, clean, and precise to every detail. But behind those impressive numbers is exhaustion. Backs are tired, shoulders hurt, hands are numb from the cold. Some people have been pinched by crab claws until they turn purple. Others have slipped and fallen because the deck is slippery with water. That is the price to pay for a life attached to the sea. No one complains. They just quietly squeeze their hands, wash their faces with cold water, quickly slurp their noodles, and then return to their relentless work. The days when the sea is rough are a real nightmare. Waves can be up to 3 to 4 meters high, crashing into the deck as if they want to swallow the entire boat. At those times, every operation becomes much more difficult. Pulling the trap becomes a game of life and death. Just one mistake and the person can be swept into the sea. But it is in such harsh circumstances that the humanity, solidarity and steely spirit of the fishermen are most clearly demonstrated. The captain is the one who makes the final decision, to continue or return. When the crab quantity reaches the target, they will direct the ship to return to port with the relief of the whole crew. The voyage can last thousands of nautical miles, passing through many cold, icy, and dangerous seas, but when the ship docks, each crate of crab is loaded onto a refrigerated truck, transported straight to the processing or export factory. That is when they know all the hardships, all the dangers, are worth it. As soon as the ship docked after many days at sea, the atmosphere at the port became more bustling than ever. Refrigerated trucks were lined up waiting. Each crab crate filled with ice was unloaded by crane or automatic conveyor belt. The workers at the port, the counters, the quality inspectors, the bookkeepers and the signers, all worked like an assembly line. All too familiar with the process of receiving dozens of tons of crab every day. The faster and more accurately, the fresher the crab, the higher the value and the more open the export opportunities. The bright red king crabs, considered the king of the crab world, were given priority for individual packaging. Each one had an outstanding size, a thick shell like armor and long claws as hard as steel. They are usually placed in special thick foam boxes, with insulation and added gel ice to keep the heat deep, to ensure that when they reach the chefs in Tokyo or New York, they still retain their vitality, the toughness of the meat, the characteristic aroma and the sweetness of each smooth white meat. Inside the factories near the port, the sorting and processing activities also take place very meticulously. Experts check the fatness and firmness of the crabs by eye and hand. For those that are no longer alive, they are transferred to the steaming line, frozen or manually separated by machine. The crab claws are separated. The body is removed piece by piece to be packaged according to market demand, from whole crabs to soft-shelled crab meat, frozen crab legs or instant crab sauce. Each crab that leaves the sea becomes part of an unimaginable value chain. It can appear in a lavish party on a yacht, or in a five-star restaurant in the heart of a luxurious city. But few people know that behind the ivory white flesh and the bright red shell are the sweat, blood and tears of the men drifting in the cold ocean, back to the fishermen, after unloading their cargo. They often do not return home immediately. Some choose to sleep on the boat. Others take advantage of the time to do maintenance work, maintain the traps, clean the cranes, and change bait for the next trip. They live as if the sea is their home, the boat is their shelter, and each trip is a new chapter in their lives. Some are only in their 20s but have been at sea since they were 15. Some are over 50 but still have the strength to pull the traps like they did in their 20s. Every day is like a non-stop cycle. Modern fishing vessels typically spend 10 to 20 days at sea. They must carefully calculate the amount of ice, food, water, and engine oil, because once the ship leaves port, everything is gone. For them, crab fishing is not only a job, but also a source of pride, courage, challenge and survival. They are not afraid of the weather. not afraid of pain, only afraid of the anger of the sea. Because nature is both a friend and an unpredictable force. Many have experienced terrible storms, witnessed colleagues injured, ships tilted by big waves, cages swept away, but then everyone still got up, patched the ship, repaired the engine, held hands tightly and continued to go to sea. The women on the mainland, wives, mothers, daughters, are the strong rear for the fishermen. They stay up all night on rainy nights waiting for news of their husbands returning. They take care of their children in place of their fathers, keeping the family fire burning during the time the fathers and husbands are drifting in the deep sea. Every time the ship returns, the port seems to come alive. Quick hugs, laughter, small gifts from the sea such as baby crabs, dried squid, or a couple of fresh fish brought back as gifts for the children. These are the simple but priceless moments of happiness that the seafaring profession brings. In some coastal areas such as Alaska, Washington or the Aleutian Islands, the crab season only lasts a few months, so fishermen have to make the most of every day. Every hour. When the season is over, they rest, repair equipment, learn more skills and prepare for the next season. Some people switch to catching salmon, cod or squid to maintain their income year-round. But for most, the crab season is still the golden time.